Thank you very much. And Vanessa, thank you so much. This is an amazing forum and such a great opportunity for so many different people to get together and mingle and share information and feelings. So thank you very much. And to Marilyn Morgan, thank you for sharing your story. And Bas and Esther, thank you for sharing Timon's story as well. So I want to talk a little bit about my daughter Maria, who we affectionately call Mimi. And I want to tell you about Mimi's journey and our family's journey. In 20 minutes, I'm just going to scrape the surface. So Maria was born in the fall of 2006. Normal pregnancy and 40 weeks gestation. So at term, really there was not much remarkable about her delivery and her birth. In hindsight, there were a couple features which were a bit interesting and may have been clues. Her placenta, Maria's placenta was really quite large, which was kind of noted and shoulders shrugged. In hindsight, that has been noted with other patients with CDG. Her hair was incredibly beautiful. It was almost two-tone and thick, which was kind of interesting. But again, really not much abnormal. She did have a meconium aspiration, so had a very short ICU stay, but that was really about it. But very quickly, we did start to have some doubts about Mimi. My father, who's an obstetrician, would look at her and comment that there were some abnormal eye movements, and my wife, Anita, when she'd take her for a walk, would note maybe some abnormal movements, which I would pass off as her being a worried mom. She was extremely colicky, at least that's what we anticipated was the issue at the time, and we couldn't wait for that 3 months where the colic would start to settle. But with her continuous crying and issues with growth, she was referred for some testing, and a pericardial effusion was identified. Eventually, as time went on, she was admitted to hospital with failure to thrive, and during that hospitalization, she had her first grand mal seizure, and then a whole host of consultants were invited to see Maria, and fortunately, we also had a diagnosis of CDG very quickly. The diagnosis was provided to us when she was about 6 months of age. So initially, as we waited for the results, there were some thoughts maybe this was congenital CMV, but ultimately, again, CDG was diagnosed. She was a type 1X for some time until ultimately some more genotype testing was performed through the lab in Leuven, and we found that she was CDG1L, and Anita and I were both subsequently found to be carriers. So with the diagnosis of this rare disorder, a lot of what we experience with Maria is common to a lot of the families here. A lot of the similar features with nasogastric feeding. We were able to help Maria regain some weight. At least her weight didn't fall further off the growth chart. She did have some quite unusual seizures with an EEG pattern called hypsarrhythmia and developmental arrest. So she was also given a diagnosis of West syndrome, which has subsequently resolved. It was interesting through those early days, trying to deal with what was going on. And I can remember, so I'm a physician as well, and I do internal medicine. And I can remember speaking with one of my colleagues who works with a lot of children with chronic disorders. And she said to me, Duncan, what I see parents do is they take those dreams that they have for their child and they put them down. And once they do that, they start to pick up new dreams. And just as Bas had commented in one of his slides, new dreams do take the place of the old dreams that have been put down. And things start to normalize a bit as you go through that grieving process. And I did see us doing that with our family. I think to a large extent we continue to grieve ongoing, but things do improve. The milestones come, some of them come, often a little bit later than we would like. But with Maria, she gradually started to go from lying to sitting on her own when she was about 4 years old. So that for us was a huge milestone. There were a number of people who were really critical to us in those early days. We were fortunate to have a great pediatric neurologist who had an open mind to a number of possibilities and arranged for the testing for CDG. And of course, I think our initial thoughts of Dr. Camfield, we weren't very fond of him, but in hindsight, I think we realized, we were very thankful to have him around to guide us through. We also had a fantastic pediatrician, Dr. Eva Sudek, who we consider not only a pediatrician, but a superhero. She's saved Maria's life on at least a couple occasions. But for us personally, there was this grieving and this mourning to go through. And I think as we've seen with Bas's presentation as well, those obvious concerns for the present and the day-to-day. But going forward, a lot of questions, a lot of unknowns. So in terms of the challenges following the diagnosis, there were practical questions and issues and also emotional. For us, again, very similar to Bas, I remember going on to the CDG network and reading the stories, and we didn't want to know what we were learning. And there were certainly, without a doubt, immediate changes to our lives. A lot of the dreams that we had for Mimi, but also for ourselves, there's no question our lives were forever altered. But you do learn to cope. The human spirit is incredibly resilient, and a lot of what you would think you would never adjust to, you do begin to normalize. I think as well, a lot of the reactions that are immediate, immediacy is measured in minutes, hours, days, months, years, and I see some of the immediate repercussions still to this day. This is a picture of my son Joseph, who is 9, so be Mimi's older brother. And I see in Joe a great deal of compassion. I think compassion beyond what a normal 9-year-old child would show. And I think this is because of some of those immediate reactions to our situation. So there are some good things that come of this as well. This is Maria's other older brother, Noah, who's 10, playing our national sport, lacrosse, in Canada. And I see with Noah a tremendous amount of integrity. He works hard. He's a tremendous leader amongst his peers. And he knows that cutting corners isn't gonna work. So again, there are life lessons learned through Mimi. She teaches us every day. In terms of the daily life, though, there's no question my wife Anita, I think, bears the brunt of this. I get to wake up in the morning most mornings and go off to work and live a different reality for a while and then come home. For Anita, she is a barnacle every day. And there are a few people who are comfortable enough to give Anita a little bit of relief day to day, because it's not normal to hire a babysitter and tell them, so when she has a seizure, this is what you need to do. That's not normal. So we're not able to do a lot of the things that we would like to do. But I know that I share this with a lot of other people in this room. And without a doubt, Anita continues to be absolutely amazing, just taking this in stride. And she can get 3 kids ready and herself much faster than I can look after myself in the morning. So Mimi has her own set of challenges, and it's not been an easy road for her, certainly. She, on a couple occasions, has, I think, almost left us. She suffered a tremendous episode of sepsis and was near death on one occasion. But similar to Tiemann, she wasn't finished writing her story either. She had more chapters. I think one of the biggest struggles that we have with Mimi is that she has a difficult time communicating. She really doesn't have any words. And when she cries or is uncomfortable, we go through our checklist, change a diaper, feed her, provide her with her favorite toys. But very quickly you get down through that checklist, and sometimes the problem's not solved. She can't tell us what the problem is. And on more than one occasion, the communication has suggested there's something else going on here. And as a parent, it's really a struggle. And on one occasion, actually on a couple occasions, she's been diagnosed with pancreatitis, which with adults who develop pancreatitis, they're very quick to tell you that it's an incredibly painful process. So to sit and watch your child struggle is quite difficult. And to realize, after 4 weeks of crying that she had pancreatitis. There's a lot of guilt that goes with that. When I first met Vanessa in Leuven, Belgium, Maria was just coming out of hospital after a bout of pancreatitis, and so it was a bit of an emotional time. And I was very fortunate, though, to be able to go to Leuven in January of 2011, and the group who were there were absolutely inspiring. And again, for me, it was a very emotional experience, I think, to sit and to listen to the state of the art of the science and the understanding of CDG, but also, as I mentioned, Maria just coming out of the hospital having been quite sick. But when I was there in Leuven, I was really struck by the incredible depth of knowledge, the understanding of CDG at a cellular level, the diagnostics that are now available, and the discussions of the next frontier, which is to move on to the therapeutics, to try to figure out, okay, we understand what's going on to a great degree, we can diagnose, but now what are we going to do for treatments? And to begin to move into that next frontier was really exciting. And I think one of the things for me, though, was that with a daughter with CDG1L, understandably, I recognize that a lot of the therapeutic work is being focused on CDG1A. Of course, it's upstream in the pathway, it's by far the most common, and it absolutely makes sense. But as a parent with a child with CDG1L, I thought, So as a physician, I do have the luxury of being affiliated with some different universities and having colleagues who have areas of research who are directly related to glycosylation. So when I was in Leuven, I started to think a little bit about, I feel so powerless as a parent often. And maybe this is one way that I can at least have a healthy approach to dealing with a very difficult situation. It was interesting that as I left Leuven, I got stuck in Stockholm in the FoG on the tarmac, and I was trying to get back to St. John, New Brunswick, which is also well known for its FoG. And the idea of foundation glycosylation, abbreviated to the FoG, seemed to make a lot of sense. So hence, emerging from the FoG. So when I did get home, I had the opportunity to speak with other members of my family and our Department of Research at our local hospital and our local hospital foundation. And everybody has been nothing short of extremely helpful. And it's amazing how sometimes when you let life unfold and you try not to steer things too much, things often get steered in the right direction. And that's what we've observed with the FoG. In very short order, we've been able to raise a lot of money, which has helped us to begin to establish the foundations for some research. So the mission statement for the FoG, or Foundation Glycosylation, is to support research for the development of therapies targeting CDG, to help raise awareness of the disorder, and to advocate for individuals living with this enzyme deficiency. So thus far, again, it's been incredible, the amazing amount of help that we've received from other researchers internationally. In terms of looking at ALG9 CDG and ALG12 CDG, the pieces of this were already sitting in Switzerland in a lab, and just a quick email to Dr. Aby, no problem, here you go. We'll send over the mutant yeast strains, the plasmids that you need. Here's how you construct them. No questions asked, nothing in return. So it's, again, nothing short of incredible to see the amount of collaboration and the collaborative work that I've been seeing with the researchers in this field. So it provides a lot of hope and promise. At present time with our foundation, the FoG, we have those yeast strains up and running, beginning to do some research with them, and we're at the beginning stages of building a zebrafish model. So these are zebrafish that will essentially have the same enzyme deficiency as Mimi, so we'll call them zemies. So we'll have some zemies for Mimi, which again, I think provides us with a real positive approach to dealing with a very difficult situation. So at the present time, Mimi is 6, she'll be 7 later this month. She's a beautiful girl. She is easily the most happy person I know, but she has no words. She sits on her own, but she can't yet walk. But yet her future, I really believe, is filled with a lot of hope and promise. And a lot of it is because of families like yourselves who get together, provide support. And I've been absolutely inspired by so many parents and children that I've met here over the past 24 hours. And again, those researchers who have helped us. So Dr. Yakin had said earlier in his talk that, you know, the harvest is great and the workers are few. So those few who are in the field doing so much, I'm so thankful, and again also very thankful for the support with our foundation, and also some researchers at home in Canada. And again, to Vanessa, I'd just like to thank you so much for organizing this. Thank you.